Hello.
Hello, Bonnie. This is Consultant Confident, and we are in
Number
week
45.
45.
I know.
Totally amazing.
I love this subject. I love what we're going to talk about because this is truly the lifeline of our business. And you know what? It is, it's, it's called the power hour of booking. And sometimes in our business, sometimes in our lives, I get a little scattered and I love something that like I could set a timer and I could say, I'm going to do this for 1 hour. I'm going to go in prepared. I'm going to make these contacts, and that you can get so much done in an hour. It's amazing.
Yes.
So,
And Bonnie, what I really do, I like to think about this, and I do like to tell people two things to preface this. The first thing is, if you tell me I am so busy that you can't do an hour, then I say that's fine. Whatever it is, if it's 20 minutes or a half hour, schedule it and do it. Okay. The other thing that I would preface is that when you are doing a power hour of booking or prospecting, making connections, do this. You have to take your thinking out of it and don't think she's not going to want to book with me because of this. She's going to be too busy because of this. She's not, don't even think, just do it. Because I think, Bonnie, wouldn't you agree that it's the ones that when we dare ourselves to scare ourselves enough to reach out, that we end up getting this really nice new connection that we never thought we would have, all
mhm,
because we were blessed by
mhm.
getting a really top-notch consultant, or maybe she ends up being one of those people who starts a booking chain, or maybe but it's all because we didn't say to our, like that one side didn't say to the other side, right?
Right.
Bonnie, you would never
Absolutely.
do that, would you?
No. You know what's so funny is sometimes I have been afraid to call people, as we all have been. And I remember I'm just like, just dial the number. And like it's ringing, and I'm going, oh, I don't even know what I'm going to say. But I really do know a little bit about what I'm going to say. But it's like, and then it just flows. It's good. It's good.
And
it's a
so,
good
Bonnie,
thing. So,
just going to
um,
tell this one little
when
story.
we talk about a power hour, you might be asking yourself, what is it? And this is an hour of income producing activity. So it's not an hour to make a list of people, it's not an hour to look up their phone numbers. This is calling potential clients, calling your customers, calling referrals, booking appointments, uh, recruiting calls, whatever it is, something that's just a power. That's where the power comes from. Power hour. Nope, nope, nope. A power hour that you can do for 1 solid hour. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
He wants to eat my grapes. Doggies can't eat grapes.
no,
I
that's not
know,
good. No.
but I do have something here for him. But it could be maybe you don't have an hour, or maybe you can't do an hour. Do 4 15-minute blocks. Do a 2 30-minute blocks. But really, seriously, you need to not respond to any other calls that are coming in. No text, no
Yep.
surfing the internet, no doing anything else with it. Just make it a power hour. And sometimes, Dawn, I even sit down before I do this and I'll be like, you know what? I just say a little prayer that I connect with the people who need me, that I'm thoughtful when I'm connecting, that I'm patient, that I don't prejudge, that I pray that I really can touch somebody's life. So I think when you take that approach to it, um, it just puts you a little bit at ease.
You know, Bonnie, one of the things that I have done that I feel like I can control in my business. Um, every morning I check to see how many customer connections I need to make for the day. I sign them. I move people forward so that I don't lose and things like that. And I make some of my customer service stuff in the afternoon. So I text, I leave messages, I email, I leave Facebook messages. So I'm necessarily not talking with people because they're at their job.
Stop. Mhm.
But I try to mindful notes about, was her mom ill? Was her son struggling with something? Was her, you know what I mean? So that way I can just say, hey, I'm thinking about you, or no. But, so necessarily when I do that work, it's not like I get all my bookings at that point, or my reorders, or my appointments booked, but I put it in their lap. But the mindfulness and the praying that the work that you do will be blessed so that your results grow. That's what I do.
Mhm. Nice. Dawn, I think one of the most important things about doing this, besides having your list made and the phone numbers right there so you can text, do whatever you need to do, call them. And I do like to, I'm just going to follow up with that. I do like to call, unless I know they're at work, but I do like to call and then follow up with a text, or it might be in Messenger. You get kind of a feel for the way that they really want to communicate. But one of the things that I think is the most important part is a way to keep track of like who you're talking to. So you might print off your preferred customer list. You might print off the birthdays for the month. You might, I don't know how you're doing it or what you're doing. And if you need help with that, you can ask us. But I think it's important to have something. It might be a notebook. It might be, we're going to talk about a bubble sheet. It might be, just some way, some tracking sheet that you can keep track of who you're talking to and who you need to follow up with.
Yes.
So Dawn.
And Bonnie, this kind of falls in the line again of how many times are you willing to reach out to people? And we talk about that ugliness in the percentages of sometimes, you need to reach out to somebody 7 to 10 times. And I do have a funny story about a woman. I will call her Person L. And I met Person L at a vendor fair a long, long time ago. And she said, call me after the holidays. So I called her after the holidays and she goes, can you send me a book? So I sent her a book. And then I followed up like maybe 3 or 4 weeks later. And she goes, I think I lost that book and I'm going on vacation. Can you follow up with me in April? And I followed up with her in April. And, she just said she was busy, blah, 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 blah. So she goes, can you follow up with me in September? So I followed up with her in September. And then she goes, can you mail me a book? I'm like, sure, I'll mail you a book. So I mailed her a book and I followed up with her. And I think she did this to me where she said, oh my gosh, the holidays are really busy. And in that time frame, she had retired. Okay. So then it was like the March so I've been doing this now for like 14 or 15 months. And finally she goes, well, can you just mail me another book? And I said, no. I said, do you mind if I just come over and drop this off? And I would just like to say hello to you. So she said, yes. And so I walked in her house and I didn't bring a lot of stuff. I just carried one bag in and I met Person L. And within 20 minutes, Person L and I realized that we just connected. And Person L is a very good friend of mine. I mean, now she's a friend. She hosts like usually at least one nice gathering a year. She gathers a bunch of people, but I've personally helped her with things, but it's one of those things where a normal person would have said, I'm not doing this anymore.
And look now, yeah. Actually, the stats that Dawn is talking about, it said, did you know that 48% of people never follow up? 25% make a second contact and then stop. 12% make 3 contacts and stop. 10% make more than 3 contacts. 2% of the sales are made on the first contact, 3% on the second contact, 5% on the third contact, 10% of sales are made on the fourth contact, and 80% of sales are made on the 5th to 12th contact. Woo! So with that in mind, how willing are you to just follow up with people? So this is a bubble sheet. And it is found if you're on Dawn and my websites, our unit websites, but it's a bubble tracking sheet, and it talks about doing it and talks about the stats of doing it in this. But basically, when you basically, like, maybe you set a goal that you're going to call 20 people today, and you would go, if you fill in her name when you call, if you leave a message, you do a slash. If you speak to someone, you do an X. And if you booked her, you color it in. So it basically is a great tracking sheet to just track your activity, because even myself, sometimes I think I'm doing so much. I talk to so many people, and then it's like, really, you talk to 5 people? You did not talk to a lot of people. And so I think it is a great thing. And I have to go back to, we have a consultant in our unit named Linda, and I gave Linda a challenge to contact 5 people a day for a week. And at first she was like, she doesn't have a whole big customer base. So at first she was like, how am I going to contact 5 people a day when I don't really have a big customer base? But suddenly you look through your Facebook group and you're like, oh, I could call some of them or contact some of them. Or you might look through the contacts in your phone. Amazing. Like, who are these people? Like, oh my gosh. Or look through your relatives, or, just like start thinking, or think about the people that you know at church, or groups that you attend, or places you visit, or businesses that you do. So let your mind go wild and make a list of people, because she completed that challenge. And I think, speaking on her behalf, I think it really breathed belief in her that when you do that, you really do have success. And I believe she had a $500 week that week. And it wasn't even that everybody bought something. She had like a really big order in there, but it was just that it was the consistency of doing it. And on here it says, Mary Kay is not magical, it's mathematical. So if you want results, I promise you, booking, contacts, following up is what's going to get you that.
And it's magical that I think what happens is you fall in love with getting no's, because I remember at one time taping like a $20 bill to my phone, realizing that we make money every time we pick up the phone. And, it's like said that if, let's say you call 10 people to get a booking for a skincare class. And let's say your sales are 300, because that's an average class. You'd profit 150. So that means you're almost making $15 on every no if it takes you 10 to book it. So it's almost like that psychology of saying, oh, I like getting no's, because that will lead to the yeses. And we do get lots of no's, but no doesn't mean forever. Bonnie, when somebody says no to you, what does that mean?
It either means not right now, or it means that they need more information.
That's it.
Like,
That's it.
Yeah.
And when they say, so Bonnie, if I say, I can't right now, I can't because I'm really busy, what would you say to them?
I would probably repeat that to her. I'd say, so right now isn't a very good time because you have a lot going on. Yeah. And she goes, yeah, you're listening. You've heard me. I said, I have a lot going on. And then I would say, when do you think would be a better time to give you a call back in a couple of weeks? And then she might say, yeah, you know what? Middle of July would be great. And then when you call her back, you can even say, I'm just calling you back like you said I should, like we talked about, because then it was like agreed upon. So the door was kind of left open. It wasn't, I hate that feeling like you hang up from a no and you're like, I don't really know what that meant. Like, I want to hang up from a no and think, no, she really doesn't want this, or no, now's not a good time, or no, you can contact me in 6 months, whatever it is, but I want to know what that no meant.
So one time this is when all we did was phone, because we didn't have emails and we didn't have texting. I remember calling a customer and I said, "Hey, Susie Q," and she goes, "Hey, Dawn." My next thing I would always say is, "Can we talk now?" And she goes, "No, I can't." And I'm really busy. And I said to her, "When do you want me to call you back?" She goes, "In 15 minutes. I'm just getting my husband and my son out the door." But if I hadn't, I said, "Should I call you back then?" She goes, "Yeah." She goes, "Once they're," when I called her back, she had like $150 reorder. Okay. And the reason I say that is if I hadn't said to her, "When should I," I would have put her down for maybe like calling her in 3 months. But guess what? She would have run out of all those things and she might have gone to like a counter or the department store or to Walgreens. She might not have called me. So the moral of the story is, you're really busy. When would you like me to call you back? Because she might say next week. She might just say, "Oh, my vacation's next week. Call me the week after." So don't fill her mind with anything. Just ask her and they'll tell you. Yep. And then Bonnie, when somebody tells you to call them back, let's say it's the 14th of June and they say to call you back after the holiday, and I always confirm, what holiday are you talking about? Are you talking about 4th of July or are you talking Labor Day? Just kidding.
Or Father's Day.
And you know what? I never thought about that. So how do you track that?
Oh my gosh, that is $1 million question. Well, if somebody tells me to call them on, I do have a notebook that I do like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday that I work out of. So if somebody says, "Call me at the end of the week," on Friday, I'll write down her name and number so I remember to call that person.
Yep.
If she asks me to call her in September, I will write it in my date book in September. But there would also be ways on our website, or if you're using a customer service kind of program, I think that you could, like, it could be an action item of when to call someone. So depending on how you want to do it, some people want to do paper and pen, and some people want to do it on their phone, and some people want to do it, in the computer.
Yep.
I showed somebody my date book one time and she said, "Oh, that's so cute, paper." And I go, "I know." That's what I do. Is I'm a paper girl. I love a notebook.
Yep.
So
yeah, I have a book that I keep with me so that way I can write notes, just so that when I go to if I have to get things out for people, I can write things, but yet I do a lot in my software and things like that. And I create profiles for people and put when to follow up with them. And I think when you start to have the magnitude of customers that we have, just knowing, are they somebody you contact every 4 weeks, every 8 weeks? Are they somebody you contact once a quarter, once a year to wish them happy birthday? Or what is your relationship with them and how, you want to follow up with them?
And if you're unsure, just ask them. If Dawn calls to order some products, and then I'll say, "You know what, Dawn, could I give you a call back in fall when we have our new fall products?" And see what she says. Or can I give you a call back, in fall to reprogram your skin? Or can I invite you to my Christmas open house? Whatever it is. But I think just to, or even to say to a new customer, "You know what, Dawn, I like to contact my customers every couple months just to check on your progress, see if you need anything, if there's any questions I can answer for you. Would that be okay with you?" And then you've established that you can call her in 2 months, and that you're just telling her what you do. "This is what I do. Do you want it different or the same?"
So, Bonnie, I have one other thing that might happen to people.
Uh-huh.
So maybe you met Susie Q, and then life happened. And all of a sudden, maybe you're sitting, or maybe you're driving, and all of a sudden that name Susie Q came to your mind. Would you, one of two things, would you say, "I can't call Susie Q because it's been so long, she's going to know that I didn't call her"? Or what would you do?
I would call Susie Q and say, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe I haven't talked to you in forever, and your name came across my desk, and I've been thinking about you. So I would do that.
Yeah.
I will say if you run into somebody and she's not being serviced by a consultant, or maybe she has been in the past, I would find out what that relationship is with the other consultant, and if it's somebody that belongs back to her, send it back. And
Yep.
Because I think that's a feel good in your heart.
Yes.
So if you do, contact somebody and she says, "Oh, I used to use Mary Kay, and our best friend, whatever.
Yep.
We were friends and we just kind of lost touch." I might send her back. I just want to keep those kind of things.
Well, I was just
Very-
Facebooking with somebody and we were having a little chat, and I looked back and it's 4 years ago. It had said that her sister-in-law was in Mary Kay. And I just said to her, "Hey, Jill, is your sister-in-law still in Mary Kay?" And she said yes. And I said, "I just wanted to ask because otherwise I would offer to send you a complimentary pampering pack." So, I mean, you just honor that, but yet something
Right.
just told me ask, because maybe her sister-in-law wasn't in anymore and maybe she would be interested. So
Mhm.
that's where I'm like,
Just ask questions, find out.
yep. So, and I think, Bonnie, just falling in love with finding out what your when you can fit your power of booking time in to your schedule. So, yes, if it's a lunch hour, if it's right,
And schedule it.
yes,
Mhm.
schedule it and then follow up with it. So,
Yeah.
yes. So, cool.
All right.
All right.
Here's the happy booking.
Happy booking. Happy booking, happy appointments, and happy profits.
Bye, everyone.